Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We are diving headfirst into the absolutely epic chronological reincarnation journey of Leonard Cardenas. We're going to track exactly how he goes from being considered literal branch family trash to becoming an absolute powerhouse. Just imagine this for a second. There's this massive, high-stakes knockout tournament meant to crown the future top swordsman of a famously legendary family. Everyone, and I mean everyone, expects the #1 elite to sweep it. But instead, this kid, who used to be ranked dead last at 381, is just completely dominating the arena. So you might be asking yourself, how on earth is Leonard completely dog-walking the #1 ranker, William? Well, it's because his body is reacting on pure, mastered instinct. During their duel, Leonard barely even goes on the offensive. He just casually weaves and dodges everything, quickly realizing his opponent is missing a really fundamental combat sense. William lacks that split-second judgment you only cultivate when you've literally stared death in the face. And Leonard knows this perfectly because he is actually the living reincarnation of the legendary Sword Emperor, Ren. Back at his past life as Sword Emperor Ren, the guy's sword skills were unmatched. Nobody could touch him. But when he finally stepped up to challenge the ultimate being, the Heavenly Demon, he was completely outmatched. The Heavenly Demon basically taunted Ren, pointing out that his fundamentals were entirely messed up because he built his internal mana foundations way too late in life. Dying with this overwhelming regret, Ren wished for a second chance and suddenly woke up in the body of young Leonard Cardenas. And this time he's absolutely determined to build the perfect foundation right from childhood. He puts this brand new foundation to the test almost immediately during the Academy's brutal forest survival exam. And he doesn't just play by the rules, he literally breaks the game. First off, he casually beats a giant direwolf into submission, turning this terrifying monster into his loyal pet. Next, he rounds up all the lowest-ranked bully trainees, the kids the elites just deemed completely worthless, and he inspires them. He turns them into this unstoppable underdog army. Together, they pull off a massive ambush and completely annihilate the elite squads. It is so incredibly satisfying to watch. This all builds up to a crazy climax in the forest test where Leonard and William finally face off for real. William gets desperate and unleashes his secret overpowered trait, psychokinesis. It's basically an invisible destructive force that totally bends the rules of physics. But Leonard's sheer combat experience as the Sword Emperor easily bypasses it, relying entirely on pure dodge speed, terrifying killing intent, and surgical precision. Leonard completely corners William. He actually forces the absolute king of the trainees to admit defeat right there. Okay, so when the dust finally settles, the Academy holds its Blood Awakening ceremony. This is where the trainees' internal mana organs are officially activated. And guess what? It's revealed that Leonard possesses a pentacore. Basically, it's a bodily mana vessel that contains 5 distinct elemental cores all rolled into one. Now, here is the hilarious irony of the whole situation. The rest of society literally views a single core as the peak of talent, making a pentacore the worst possible outcome you could get. To them, it's a cursed burden that requires 25 times the effort just to function normally. But Leonard? Oh, he knows it's the exact overpowered vessel he prayed for. Drawing on his past life's knowledge of the 5 elements, he realizes that if he can perfectly harmonize these 5 cores, his ceiling for growth won't just be high, it'll be completely infinite. Recognizing this terrifying raw martial talent, the Academy commander secretly ships Leonard off to Calavagos Island. It's this deadly, untamed wilderness, perfect for him to train his pentacore in total isolation. Just to give you some quick perspective on his progress, let's look at the universe's power scaling system real quick. It goes body tempering, external power, transcendence, demigod, and finally the Divine realm. Leonard's whole goal on this brutal island is to blast right through these early stages without anyone noticing. And man, he does not waste a single second. To avoid any suspicion about his insanely fast growth, Leonard uses this ancient disguise technique to make himself look like a seasoned senior knight. Then he goes on this secret, absolutely ruthless monster hunting spree deep in the deadly swamps. He effortlessly harvests an astonishing 1,500 mid-grade spirit stones from high-ranking monsters. That is a massive haul, all used to rapidly power level his mana capacity. It all comes to a head in a hidden cave guarded by a massive fire troll. After this super intense, high-speed battle, the troll actually self-destructs in a massive fiery explosion. Leonard barely makes it out alive, but he manages to absorb the magical energy of a miraculous golden tree fruit he finds inside. This unbelievable surge of pure mana forces his pentacore to perfectly fuse, instantly launching him straight into the third stage of the external power realm. Of course, we can't have nice things for too long, right? The peaceful training phase is violently shattered. An elite, heavily armed squad of Shadow Knights from the rival Kurus Kingdom secretly invades Calabagos Island. And their twisted goal? They want to capture the young Cardina's prodigies alive, using them as test subjects to steal their bloodline secrets. Leonard being Leonard, he quickly uncovers their whole plot. He orchestrates this massive, behind-the-lines rescue mission to free his fellow trainees, single-handedly slaughtering an entire enemy encampment in the process. But this bold move puts him right face-to-face with the enemy leader, Fifth Shadow. This guy is a terrifying master in the transcendent realm. So, you've got to wonder, how does a mere trainee survive a master whose mere presence is enough to crush boulders? The answer? Pure, unfiltered combat genius. Fifth Shadow unleashes his Severing Venom aura, which is this incredibly toxic energy where even a tiny scratch guarantees an agonizing death. Leonard counters this by revealing his absolute trump card, an early, forced manifestation of his golden aura blade. The catch is he can only maintain it for a desperate 3 minutes. Relying on his unexpectedly high poison resistance and just jaw-dropping dodge speed, Leonard miraculously manages to go toe-to-toe with a literal transcendent master. Just when it looks like Leonard has reached his absolute physical limit, the Academy's commander, Fabian, drops right out of the sky and instantly severs Fifth Shadow's feet, saving Leonard at the last possible second. But the relief doesn't last. In this massive, heart-dropping cliffhanger, the defeated Fifth Shadow uses the very last drops of his mana to trigger a mass teleportation magic circle. It swallows Leonard whole, vanishing him across the ocean before the commander can even blink. So we cut to Act 3. When Leonard finally opens his eyes, he's battered, bruised, and literally thousands of miles away in the massive trade city of Atlantis. It turns out he was pulled from the ocean by the noble yet seriously struggling Captain Francis, or Fran for short. When Leonard asks her why she'd stick her neck out to save a complete stranger, her answer is simple and incredibly honorable. She just never turns her back on anyone who needs help. But, spoiler alert, Fran is in seriously deep waters. To really grasp the threat here, you have to look at the corrupt politics running Atlantis. You've got Fran's Aquamarine Guild, just trying to survive and keep the seas safe. Then there's the brutal Santa Maria Guild, led by Captain Conrad, whose only goal is to violently seize Fran's ship. And pulling all the strings behind the scenes is Councilman Pablo Peterson of the Moby Dick faction. He's a dirty politician profiting entirely off of this maritime corruption. Almost immediately after Leonard wakes up, Councilman Pablo's incredibly arrogant son shows up on the docks. He starts harassing Fran, aggressively demanding her ship. And Leonard?
Yeah.
He has absolutely zero tolerance for arrogant scumbags. He steps right up as Fran's new bodyguard and instantly severs the politician's son's arm with a single lightning-fast strike. It's a brutal display of power, but it instantly shifts the whole dynamic of the Aquamarine Guild. They finally have a heavy hitter on their side. Things escalate fast. Shortly after, while hanging out at the Adventurers Guild, Leonard spots Ninian. She's this incredibly talented but heavily abused half-elf archer, and her sister is actually being held hostage by the rival Santa Maria Guild. Deciding the Aquamarine Guild desperately needs her talent, Leonard makes a crazy move. He boldly challenges the brutal Captain Conrad to a super high-stakes public arena duel. The wager? Ninian's freedom against the complete ownership of the Aquamarine ship. So the duel kicks off, and it is a totally one-sided beatdown. Leonard completely embarrasses Captain Conrad. He seamlessly counters his magic and his swordplay without even breaking a sweat. Realizing he's getting publicly outplayed by a teenager, Conrad absolutely panics. He gets desperate and consumes an illegal black pill given to him by the corrupt councilman. This pill temporarily roids his body up to the terrifying power level of a full-blown swordmaster, just to try and survive against a kid? But here's the thing about fake power. It means absolutely nothing to the Sword Emperor. Bringing the hype to a boiling point, Leonard decides he's done playing around. He fully channels his harmonized pentacore and unleashes his true Golden Dragon Aura Blade. With a single earth-shattering clash that literally rocks the entire arena, Leonard completely decimates Conrad.
He shatters his weapon, his power, and his pride all in one swift, devastating motion.
And guys, the aftermath is just so satisfying. The payout for the duel is absolutely legendary. Because the public odds were heavily stacked against the unknown teenager, the Aquamarine Guild had secretly bet all of their remaining assets on Leonard. With his victory, they not only secure official A-rank status and completely free Ninian, but they strike it insanely rich. It's a massive payout that permanently solves all of the guild's financial struggles. Later on, things quiet down, and under the moonlight, we finally get Fran's tragic backstory. 8 years ago, the corrupt council totally ignored these dangerous, monster-spewing sea rifts just to keep their profit margins high. Fran's father, the previous captain, took his fleet and heroically sealed those rifts himself. But right after saving everyone, Councilman Pablo ambushed and destroyed the Aquamarine fleet to protect his corrupt operations, leaving Fran with nothing but the flagship and a massive, justified grudge. Hearing this terrible tale of betrayal, it just fully cements Leonard's loyalty to his new captain. It's such a cool moment because he perfectly blends his past life, battle junkie nature with the genuinely heroic cause. He looks at Fran and tells her with total confidence, "As long as I get to cross swords with strong opponents, I'll gladly make an enemy of an entire island." It's a huge turning point, proving Leonard isn't just out here to level up. He is actively ready to tear down corrupt systems. And that, my friends, is where we wrap up today's explainer. But think about it. With the Aquamarine Guild now officially holding A-rank status, armed with a massive fortune, a genius elf sniper, and a reincarnated sword emperor, Councilman Pablo is undoubtedly out for blood. So how will Leonard Cardenas conquer the high seas and finally dismantle Atlantis' corrupt elite? Well, you'll just have to keep following the story to find out.